Hello, this is Jared playing Oxygen Not Included. Starting off today with experiments with liquid storage. And I'm curious if I can get infinite liquid storage in a similar way that I was doing with gas. Because I'm storing infinite amount of gas at these locations by sort of tricking these outputs by thinking that it's not overpressured. Doing the same thing here. I actually built 4 of them, but only the first one seems to be needed. What I did is I put in some water here, and I'm seeing if I can shove more brine than I could otherwise. Now, the only thing that's making me nervous is whether these tiles are going to break when that happens, but doesn't seem to be an issue with gas, even though it's high pressure there, so I guess I'll give this a test. The reason I'm giving this a test is because I'm trying to decide, realizing when my dupe's hammer is stressed out, you know what, I'm going to reassign some of their skills. Where are you, hammer? What to do? Okay, hammer can do that, but let's go up. And I need to figure out what to do with the nuclear waste, because I want to do 2 things with it. This system here is where I'm going to take nuclear waste from the research reactor, and I'm going to get more power from it, so it'll cool it down, transfer heat here. But once this is done, I'm hoping, and we'll see how this experiment goes, but this would be one option for storing all that, because if that's the case, I could store it in one finite point, or maybe a couple points, and if that's the case, maybe that will become a very radioactive area, and if I can get enough of it, maybe it'll be more radioactive than here, and I'll switch my Red Bolt generators from running here to be down here. Which would be really cool if that's the case. If that doesn't work, if the tiles break, if there's too much liquid, my second option is to put some aqua tuners here and actually cool down the nuclear waste. I think you have to get it below room temperature and make it solid. And maybe I'll have an infinite solid storage of that and try to do the same thing. That is my thinking. I'm going to have to first see how this experiment goes, but yeah, we'll see how this all goes. So I think I found a problem with this setup, and it's not the problem I thought it was going to be, but everything is overpressured, so I can't get any more liquid in here. And I'm realizing now that the water I had put in is going to be shoved to one corner, and that needs to be less pressure than this can handle. That's not the case. So I need to be under 1,000 kilograms. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to destroy this, reset this such that I've got, let's say, I don't know, 800 kilograms of water, and see how that goes. I'm also wondering if this is going to cause, yeah, that's what I kind of thought was going to happen there. That's I'll just have to basically reset. In the meantime, there's no point in having this run. I'm going to take this tile out, and we'll see if we can set water back in there under 1,000. And give it a rerun. Alright, so giving this another test, I've got 2 pieces of water up here. They both total less than 1,000, so when they get squished to one side, I'm hoping this will work. And it doesn't matter what side, or actually which one corner, even the bottom corners, because I've got the piping going through all 4. But I need at least one of them that's not overpressured. I'm assuming this is going to work out, and I'm even starting the construction. I mean, I can always redo this, change out something else, but here's what I got set up. Actually, the liquid is already there. That's some brine that I'm going to put in, so let's open that up. And that's going to be, I'll seal this off, and this is going to be ready for some nuclear waste storage. So just recalled that one of the things that I changed about steam turbines is the fact that I have blocked off, in some cases, the tiling. And the reason for that is if it's hot enough, there is actually no need to actually have all tiles exposed. The steam turbine, in this case, I only have 2 exposed. And I want to try to maximize the amount of power. So I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with this. What I'm going to just do is put these in place now, because it's going to be more difficult to put them in later on. So every steam turbine is going to have 3 of these doors, but for the time being, I'm just going to simply have a switch. Make sure I build everything out of steel that enables everything, but at least I have the ability to configure things later on. I'm doing the same thing down here. Again, just putting 3 doors so I can close them if I choose. What I might do is put temperature changes, but for the time being, just a button's going to open them all. So I've got at least the option to do that. Anytime I've done this in the past, I've never done this before. So that's going to give me the ability to change logic if I think that's necessary before I actually turn this whole system on. So this setup is looking a little more healthy. Water has gone off to one corner. It's less than 1,000 kilograms, so it is not overpressured. So new salt water, or actually brine, is landing in there. It then is falling down, and we're continuing to get more and more brine here. So the only question I have is, as this gets really intense, will these tiles break? Now, I made these tiles out of obsidian. I'm thinking the idea is that's very strong material, so if this particular tile doesn't last, I don't give any chance of any other material other than maybe metal tiles or something to last, but we'll see how that goes. The other thing is, just realized that a few of the dupes didn't have tables here, the mess at the Great Hall. That would explain why some of them were getting stressed out, so added a few extra ones, so that shouldn't be happening anymore. Just looking at some advice from Terracom on this farm. They mentioned putting hydrogen here, which actually would make sense because that's going to interact with temperature a little bit better, especially when these doors close. And we won't have polluted oxygen, which is not good when sleet wheat lands here. But unfortunately, I left myself not quite enough room to really sort of maneuver on this side. Unless I well, actually, one thing I could do is destroy a few of these. Maybe move the whole thing over. And I do have a little bit of room to push back over here, so maybe I'll do that at some point. But I'm going to continue on experimenting on this. The other thing is I'm looking back at some of the advice on when to close the tiles on some of these guys, and I'm not expecting the temperature to really get more than 200, so to be honest, all these doors might be pointless, but because I'm experimenting, I want the ability to have them in place so that if I want to configure them however I want, they're there. I don't have to destroy the tiles and change them out with doors, but noting myself that this may be useless, because if the temperature is around 200 or so, I think I want all 5 tiles accessible anyway. If I have the doors open, that's effectively the case. Another thing I was thinking about is I do not need to have this room this tall. I could have either done... had it set up so I only have it 4 tall here and just get a little bit lower where the research reactor is going to be, or do the reverse, have a bump up over here and put the steam turbines down. But anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm still coming up with the idea with how to take the nuclear waste down and do a pass by here, and then finally when it starts to cool down, get to the final thing. So we'll see how all this goes. So I'm going to wait for the dupes to make the modification on these doors. We're putting in some radiant pipes. And the reason for that is, of course, we want to keep these steam turbines nice and cool. The other piece of advice I was given was not necessarily to worry about Viscellite or even ceramic tiles, especially if the temperature is not getting above 200 degrees. So that's kind of a nice thing. It means that really I could have just grabbed insulated tiles, make sure it's igneous, and throw it wherever I want rather than specifically looking for that. And that also means that I don't have to worry about the production of as much ceramic as I was expecting to have. So that might be something that I do more in the next playthrough, or in perhaps there's going to be a few other steam turbines. I'll make that out just regular insulated igneous rock and see how that goes. That would be a nice thing. That works out. So more steel is being produced. So I've got 2 steel thermo aqua tuners. Because we've got more steam turbines to keep cool, I think I'm going to wait for more steel to be produced to create 2 more down here. And I believe we also have to create the actual research reactor. And I'll clear out a spot to be able to do that. So I see a little bit of hydrogen is accumulating at the top of this base. Not really a problem at the moment, but if that keeps going down, it's going to fill hydrogen in here. And it can keep going down and down. And that's also potential hydrogen I could use for things. So I'm just putting in a simple pump filter and looking for hydrogen. And if that's the case, it's going to push it down here. It's already had a little bit of hydrogen. And it's going to put it into the actual zone. So actually, just thinking about this, I want to have it priority to use this. Actually, this is actually reversed. What I want, just realizing that as I show this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this gas bridge right there instead. Just looking at temperature management, because now I see this aqua tuner is starting to be used. So that is cooling the actual coolant line with the aqua tuner. I still have the process of doing a cooling over here, which is taking ethanol when it's needed to be pushed in here from the cold zone at the top of the base. And I can see I got brine in there, but some non-pieces of brine unfortunately are in. I'll just leave it for the time being, but that is something that I should have ensured was filtered properly. But anyway, let's look at the actual temperature effect of the base. It is quite green all around this core part of the base where the dupes don't have their atmosuit. So I'm very pleased with temperature management on that aspect. I see there's this electrolyzer. I'd like to rely just on this, but I'm concerned about power. So what I'm going to do is just wait for this system here to kick in effect, generate a little bit more power, and then once that's in place, then I'll go off and actually turn that on such that I don't have hydrogen leaking into the base. Oh, I just noticed I've got some of these. Probably want to get rid of those. Whoops, forgot that a while ago. 1, 2, and 3. But yeah, I'd rather vent all my oxygen. And it's actually not close to 2,000 grams. So once I do start venting, it should up the actual amount of oxygen that I have in there as well. Just make a quick note checking. Here we are. Now I have hydrogen that's coming from the actual top of the base being consumed in priority order. Decided I'm going to start the process of planting wild sleet wheat. So what I'm going to do is a trick I like to have of storing all the one type of material. In this case, this is going to be sedimentary rock. There is none on this particular asteroid because it's all locked in here. If I open this, I guess I didn't need more than one storage bin, but anyway, if I open this, it's going to be accessible. So what I'm now going to do is select the sedimentary rock. I'm going to build that everywhere except for where I don't want it, or where I want the pips to plant the first piece of wild sleet wheat. And this is something I never want the dupes to do. I could mark this as low priority, but even if it is low priority and dupes run out of something to do, they'll do a one task if there is nothing else. That's why I'm doing this. I'm going to lock that. Oh, okay. No. Apparently you're quick on the task. That's awesome and everything, but please don't. So there we are. Sedimentary rock should result in 0. Dupes can't access it. No one can actually create those ladders. And I can see that by insufficient resource. Now what I need to do is put in some pips. Cuddle pip would be fine. And just a regular pip. Should have lots of those about. Oh, let's up the priority of that. Do that at even a 9. I just need to go into this area and select a few pips to wrangle. Maybe I'll take 3 or 4. And they'll be transferred over. And then the final thing is pips are not going to plant anything. I got to check for seeds that I don't want to be planted. It doesn't look like there is anything there. So that is done with that. I now need to actually put the sleet wheat grains. I don't want to have too many in this spot. Let's do 5 kilograms worth. That up that to a priority 6. Oh, did a few? Okay, a few of them did. I should have done a better job at managing that. So unfortunately, some of the dupes are creating some ladders I didn't want. Oh well, I'll wait for some dupes, or wait for the sleet wheat and pips, and that should result in some wild sleet wheat existing. Just watching what should be the first pip plant, wild sleet wheat. And the moment they do that, I can just cancel this one. I don't have to wait for the dupe to destroy it, because that ladder was never actually built. And then another pip should plant something right here, a sleet wheat, ideally. And we'll continue on from tile to tile that way. So putting in the third aqua tuner, I plan to have 4. Have a little bit of different design. This I've done a while ago, but I'm kind of bringing this idea back. The idea here is I'm going to be pushing liquid in. This is probably going to be brine. It's going to go into this guy if it's active. If it's not, it's going to go here. And it's going to wait for this thing to drain out, meaning that liquid out of the aqua tuner will drain out in priority, but eventually the rest of the line will just continue around and around. I don't have a lot of ceramic, and I'm starting to wonder if I actually need ceramic for a lot of my use cases. So in this case, I'm using igneous insulated pipes, and we'll see how that does. Maybe just to optimize things just so slightly, I'll put insulated igneous pipe here and here. Well, I'm not sure that that's really necessary, but it's easier to put in now than later on. Of course, we have the temperature gauge down here looking for the appropriate temperature. I'll put in 30 degrees or above for now. I may change that later. That essentially just needs to have access to the actual aqua tuner up here like that. Well, almost. I guess we can get rid of that one. There we go. So just do the same thing over here once I have enough steel. And I should always be checking on this, because I think we'll get more and more wild pieces of sleet wheat if I stay on top of this. So this is the situation I was trying to avoid. I have a plant. It would be nice if I could just clear this out, but I need to destruct it. Now I need to wait for a dupe to take that out before one of the pips can plant the seed from here to here. I put in these in area because I noticed a lot of polluted oxygen. I want to get rid of that. But before I move off to a different section here to plant more sleet wheat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the cemetery rock, make sure it gets thrown into the storage bin over here before I proceed. Just realized I forgot a piece of abyssalite here. A little annoying, but not a big deal, I believe. I'm just going to fill in all around this, put in a door, and make that a copper ore tile right there so the pips can actually plant anything. Otherwise, nothing is going to get planted inside abyssalite. Just looking at these liquid vents I'm making out of steel. 400 pieces. But if you go to properties, yeah, of course I'm doing this at the start of the cycle, but if you go to properties, it looks like the melting point is 1,000. I've had issues a long time ago, and I've always been scared of building things out of non-steel in here. But yeah, melting point is 2,400. Well, that's clearly going to be fine, but I built these out of copper ore. Melting point there is, let's see if I go to, there it is, there are 1,000 or so. I must have built that long ago and been terrified of in this area, because you definitely want to make it out of steel here. But I think that's a waste. Anyway, long story short, I'm going to get rid of these guys and change them out for something that is not steel. Worst case, I do have liquid locks, so dupes can still get in this zone if I want to make changes later on. Just figured I'm still waiting for steel production, but if I actually do this, I'll have enough steel to finish everything off. The other bit is I'm just working on the actual full line to go all the way around to do some cooling. And I think I can get rid of this door there. I did think to myself, gee, why didn't I just tell the dupes, hey, you're not allowed to go in here while the pips are doing their thing? That was another way, rather than taking all the content of a particular material and store it in one particular spot. First sedimentary rock, not a big deal because there was less than 20 tons. But anyway, I've got a lot more compartments to do after this, so maybe that's the new strategy I use from this point on. So this is going to give us our copper ore. Oh, I forgot to remove something, so we've got a hidden object. We'll just live with that. But I expect the pips now. I might need to put sleet wheat back. We'll get some in the area. But one of them should plant something right here. I'll keep this tile until one of the pips do that. Okay, a pip is planet piece right here. So this completes this room. So now that I have this ready, I'm now going to put in, let's see, some ingredients. That's the sleet wheat over here. Do that high priority. I want to transfer all the pips. So removed the critter drop off in here, moved it over there. So that one's set to be high priority for pips. Let's mark all these guys. So the dupes should be up, or at least the ones that can wrangle should take these over. They will be dropped off. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's well, right now there's no seeds, so we can continue that for now. But I'm thinking I still want to have all the sedimentary rock. I'm going to have the two-prong process. One, I'm going to put all the sedimentary rock here and do that trick, and I'm also going to boot the dupes out via these two doors, just to be absolutely certain that I don't have any dupes causing issues, because I'd rather just cancel things. It makes it a lot faster if I can just cancel a ladder instead of having to wait for one of the dupes to destroy it. I should see some dupes showing up here to drop off some material. Once we do that, I'll close this, and hopefully this time I won't be in the same problem I got into the last time. Alright, let's have a look at where things are now. I now have a brine line going all the way through. That's going past 4 aqua tuners. Right now, the setting is such that it's always going to be false, because I want to make sure I get some water in here before I turn those on. Otherwise, they're going to overheat. But before I do that, I'm just waiting for a little bit more aluminum, because I want to get some radiant pipes. Got a little bit more. I want to have them pass through some tiling, because my idea is to have a pump here. I've got this pump set to, I don't know what the appropriate value is. We'll try 50 or above. It will pump out the nuclear waste that's going to go into this. That is going to send it in here. It should go in this direction. Interacting with the steam and pipe and tiling. This area is going to be hot, so I decided not to make this radiant pipe, and then I'm going to start radiant pipe back up over here. Then we're going to go down to the second layer. And we're going to get this, I'll have to wait for more radiant pipes, but that's going to start to take that nuclear waste and have that heat up the zone down here. And that's going to go in an infinite loop until it gets filled up. I'm going to get this to indicate when there's too much in the line, because any excess I want to have sent over here. I think I need to have a NOT gate in order to make that proper, so we'll try that. And it's just going to sit in space, so making that out a lid will be fine. And then I'll have lots of excess nuclear waste stored at this location. But in the process, I'm hoping to get a lot more power than my previous builds. So very excited to have this go on. I even shaped this such. I didn't put in the actual power plants, but that's something that I have the option to do soon enough. if I find it's not enough power. However, if it is enough power without that, maybe I won't even bother. We'll see when I get to that point. Just occurred to me, this might not be necessary the way I set it up, so I'm actually going to change this a little bit. What I'm doing instead is I'm going to have this pipe indicating that I want priority order. I want the nuclear waste. Oh, it's not actually connected. Let me do that here in a second. But I want that nuclear waste to go up and go in an infinite cycle around and around, continually exchanging heat with the steam in this environment. However, if things get too filled up, this starts to get backed up. It's going to start to direct nuclear waste for storage, and when that starts to happen, that will alleviate this pump to be able to take out more nuclear waste. We'll see if that's going to keep up with it. We need some water. That is, and yeah, that's right. And I still, unfortunately, need some aluminum. A little bit more has been created, but I have to wait a little bit more. So I think it would be nice if I had more, at least at one more level than here, had a section of aluminum pipes going through. But I might forgo that for the time being, see how it works without it. It's always something that I could add later on. Okay, not making any progress down here because I can't get the dupes to storing 33 out of 20. Wait, what? Wait, what? What? Storing 33. That's why they're not putting any dupes in there, because it thinks there's 33 in here. Okay, did not. Okay, I get it. All right, never mind. Let's bring in some water now. I'm going to start with the top layer here that's sealed off. So just going to use the actual piping that these guys, steam turbines, are going to use anyways. Actually, hold on. While I'm here, this is opportunity, probably important opportunity to insulate here and here, here and here. Because that's hot water, it's going to be running through that. Anyway, that's water's going to find its way just like it is right there. It's way down here, and I'm going to aim to probably fill up half a tile across of liquid water before I consider turning on the research reactor. So there's the water pouring in. I'm also going to want to make sure this goes on as well. I think I now have enough radiant pipes going across, so we can actually seal this area off. 1, 2, and 3. And I can start the process of bringing in some water here. Of course, I have to cross. What is this line? You know what I'm going to do? This is the nuclear waste line. I have to go through these 3 pipes, but in reality, this pipe here is temperature. Excuse me. It's not active. So I could temporarily cut this and this. This is just a way of getting water across here. Make a bridge connector, and we'll get that in there. And that will dump some liquid right there. I better make sure that this is done at high priority, otherwise water is going to kind of be wasted out in space. But that looks good to me. So I just got to keep an eye on this, make sure that when there's enough water, I stop the process. Let's just go see what this random object is. Oh, a pug slug. I don't think I've gotten one of those. I don't have a pug slug area. I guess that's something maybe I can put together now. Alright, the pips are back in town. I've got 3 more planted right here. About to have the 4th. I canceled that ladder. This system's finally working, so I don't have any of these ladders built. And let's just going back to look at the first one we planted. It's already 13% grown. So that is looking healthy. Another one planted. Thanks, Pip. Cancel that one, so that should now be 4. Yep. And we'll have a lot more before you know it. More liquid landing here is going to take a little bit of time, so I might have to design my next system or decide what I'm going to do while I wait for some water. So I'll go and have a think about that. Actually, that might be it for today. So, yeah, having a look at this, lots of work has been done here. We've got a research reactor. It's not on yet, but I think it's going to be turned on in the next episode. We've got our cooling water, which is going to turn to steam. That's going to provide the water or power for the steam turbines. We're keeping the steam turbines themselves cool with this new brine line that's making it all the way through. It has 4 aquatuners to keep it cool. We have a second area here. This is just for the nuclear waste to cycle through and exchange heat so that these guys can pick up a little bit of power. And we have this infinite storage, which is not doing anything yet, but we'll see if we can get that storing excess amount of nuclear waste. And if that happens, we can start to make some red bolt generators potentially around here. But for the time being, if I want red bolt generators, it looks like there'll be ones that are built around this guy here, and I'll have them directing a path out this way. And I don't have a use for them yet, but we'll probably want to make some red bolt engines soon enough, somewhere in this area. Probably do that next episode. Lots of great comments from you guys. I've been away for a week or so. Kind of overloaded, but overloaded in a very good way. Very excited to go through all this. Some of the ideas might not kind of apply to the next episode, or the next series, I mean. But there's certainly a lot that I'll be able to apply. Main thing I want to really try out is this infinite storage of nuclear waste to see how that actually flows and whether I can get excess more power. So very excited to have that, but there's all kinds of new advice that I'm going to be trying out. Plus, also didn't even mention this yet, but there's a new update. I haven't even really looked into it other than I know there's something about producing milk. But yeah, definitely excited to look into that after I do this little bit of research. Lots of fun stuff. Hopefully I will see you in a future episode where I'll explore lots of new ideas. Until then, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Till then.